In this world, there are these folks called raiders. They're like hunters who go after monsters and they get paid for it. They also protect people, which is really cool, but it's not an easy job. It's dangerous and risky. The thing is, even though it's dangerous, people see raiders as heroes. Being a raider makes hearts race with excitement. But sometimes when a raider's heart races, it's because danger is close. Now imagine we're in this cozy coffee shop. There are two guys talking. One of them looks really mad about some offer. The other guy, in the fancy suit and glasses, tells him to calm down. He says the mad guy should think about it because money is needed. The second guy gets that it's no surprise. See, there's this young woman from the Raider Bureau. She's the one who gives job offers to people like the mad guy. She kind of tricks him into going on a dungeon raid. The mad guy thought the call was for a good job, but as soon as he heard what it was, he got super upset. He asks the suit and glasses guy why there's nothing else. He wonders why even lower ranked folks can find work. The suit and glasses guy explains that raiders who fight up close don't get tasks often, and it's not about their rank. See, the jobs are being taken by magicians now. Those folks have magic powers, so they're chosen more. Other raiders struggle to find jobs too. Wars have made some of them hurt, and bosses don't want to deal with that. It's easier to hire magicians who fight from far away. They don't get hurt as much. Plus, they're really good at working together. The mad guy knows all this. He also knows there aren't any jobs for raiders like him right now. He curses himself for not becoming a magician 11 years ago. Flashback to when he was in middle school, 11 years back. He took this test and did well. It showed he could go to a special place called Mills Academy. It's where they train raiders professionally. His magic ability was at 97%. There was this girl who was super good at magic, and she had 92%, so he was doing really, really well. But here's the thing. Even though he was great at magic, he decided to become a warrior. He didn't have a strong reason for it. He just didn't think magicians were that great. He thought they were weak and needed warriors to help them kill monsters like Tarak. Looking at the magic users, he couldn't help but wonder if his life would be better if he had chosen to become a magician. Usually raiders stopped developing around the age of 20. There was no use in regretting, as nothing would change anyway. The man in the suit continued, "Jaehyun, this opportunity doesn't come often. I had considered offering this job to others, but after considering your situation, I decided on you." Once upon a time, Jaehyun's talent had made magicians envious. The guy clenched his hand into a fist, anger welling up within him. Realizing that he was now just a useless D-rank warrior, he thought about the immense difference between his past and present. The contrast was too stark, and he agreed to the man's offer. The guy in the suit was surprised by his acceptance. They sat across from each other, the silence hanging between them. The warrior realized that survival in this harsh swamp was his only option, even if it meant taking up such a job. The man seemed pleased, setting up a meeting for the next morning at 7:30. He promised to provide details about the location and emphasized the importance of punctuality. The guy stood up, picked up his drink, and with a touch of resentment said, "See you later. You've got a lot of work to do." He reassured the warrior, urging him not to worry and to go about his own business. The man explained that he also needed to leave, reminding him once more about the scheduled meeting. With these words, they parted ways. The scene shifted, showing our hero standing by a tree. He had a sword on his back, a shield resting nearby, and protective gear on his hands and knees. Warriors and mages surrounded him, all waiting by a teleporter located within a massive tree. Checking the time, it was already 8:52, and young woman they were waiting for still hadn't arrived. With an exhale of frustration, he wished he had immediately communicated his absence. Opening his eyes, he surveyed his surroundings. As a D-rank warrior compared to Woomin, who was an A-rank mage, why was he even working in this raider bureau? He could have joined any guild. He felt like he was wasting his time here. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What stat would you invest in if you had a system appear in front of you? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now back to the recap. Suddenly, a silhouette appeared in his mind. "Useless bastard," came the voice, and Jaehyun said nothing. His expression changed to shock as he recognized Myung-ho. A mixture of happiness and awkwardness filled the air as they met. They discussed work and its absence, sharing a common understanding. The man expressed contentment at the bureau's decent pay, and our hero reluctantly agreed. Myung-ho said that there was nowhere else to work except here, and looked at the guy without seeing any reaction. He noticed that all the passion of people for battle classes was gone, and also said, "What is the honor of being a magician and shooting fireballs from behind the backs of comrades?" Jaehyun was outraged. What a passion if he was starving to death. His friend asked him to do everything efficiently and then they will drink a bottle of saju. The hero said without emotion, "Well, not bad." The man doubtfully spoke about the money and remembered that the last time he paid, the guy scratched his head and said nothing in response. The man winked, also scratched his head, and promised that this was the last time he would pay for it. Jaehyun smiled, embarrassed that he owed him something again. Their conversation was interrupted by a man calling for everyone to gather at the entrance to the dungeon, leaving in half an hour. The warriors weren't happy. Myung-ho exhaled and said it was time to pack up. Jaehyun thought about it and took out his phone. There are two things a raider needs to remember when hiking. First, it is blind luck, luck that can inspire any of the raiders. Most often it paralyzes the brain and becomes fatal carelessness at the moment when a person ceases to soberly assess the situation. The dungeon begins to test its strength. What the raider has now, is it luck or the tragedy behind it? He was interrupted by a Myung-ho again. "Hey Jaehyun, why are you stuck there staring at your phone again? Are you looking at a picture of your girlfriend?" The guy laughed and said it was nothing important. After looking at his phone again, there was a picture of him with his mom on it. He promised to be back soon and went to the dungeon. We find ourselves in a stone room at the end of which are mages with staffs, and in front of them are warriors holding back the attack of evil spirits. The mage yells at them to hold their shields tight and keep them alive even when they're dead. Jaehyun was already exhausted. Exhausted magicians cast spells. They summoned the divine fire giant. Beams of light flashed from behind the warriors. The firebomb destroyed the enemies. The battle ended. The defenders exhaled. Jaehyun gazed at the Meteor Guild, a group of new magicians gaining quick popularity. They seemed to be on the rise, and the chances of you getting hurt were low. It was break time, and everyone was resting. A man explained the next plan to our hero, a battle with the boss. It wouldn't be easy, especially for him. The man mentioned how old age wasn't so fun. He wished he had trained more when he was younger to level up. The guy replied confidently that he was still as energetic as ever, and even a level higher than the older man. The man questioned if he had hit an object, as good things tend to fall in this dungeon. Jaehyun had doubts, so he checked the screen's information. Suddenly everything went haywire. Confusion filled him as he tried to understand the situation. The system seemed to be glitching. The guy got frustrated, and a message popped up. The SEO system wasn't working. Communication with the user was lost, and the system launch was cancelled without reason. Jaehyun was shocked. What could this mean? Then a green ball materialized, guiding him on where to go. The system alerted about an unknown object invading and initiated recovery in safe mode. But the message vanished right away, leaving the guy baffled. The man asked what he was talking about, and the guy hesitated before explaining. Another ball appeared before the man's face. Jaehyun told him to follow the light. The ball moved, and Jaehyun followed. Myung-ho, worried about the boy, wondering if he had a fever, assured him he was fine, but truthfully, he was just as confused. Jaehyun continued following the orb's light, distancing himself from the group. The system still didn't work. An error appeared. He had become an awakened one a decade ago, and the system had never shown damage like this. He pondered if the mysterious voice he heard was related to this malfunction. The system failed again, invaded by the unknown object. As he pieced everything together, he considered it might be some kind of change. He even thought that Aesir could have originated from Asgard, a term connected to ancient gods like Odin and Thor. This system was humanity's last hope. 20 years ago, disaster struck. A colossal tree grew in the Pacific Ocean, covering the sky and its foliage within 9 days. Some thought it was the apocalypse's sign, others a divine blessing. In reality, it was a world tree from an old legend. When the tree's growth stopped, monsters began invading, causing countless deaths. The survivors suffered from hunger and plague, and people fell into despair, but soon they had hoped. The first awakened, a person with God's power, emerged among them. There were also raiders who hunted monsters. The Aesir system, a powerful weapon, was controlled by such people. But if there were changes in it, it was hard to think positively. Jaehyun followed the light and came to a huge door. It was the gateway to treasures, and he couldn't believe it. A hidden room behind this gate was extremely rare in high-ranked dungeons. Usually you could find special and even rare items there. Jaehyun was very happy because one treasure from such a trove could be worth several 100 million. He thought if he found a Class A or above item, he could finally escape his dark days. He asked if the Lord existed and requested higher class items. Opening the door, Jaehyun found himself in a spacious room surrounded by columns with lamps. He couldn't believe such a space could be hidden inside. What he saw on TV wasn't fiction. In the middle of the room stood a ball emitting a lot of light. Jaehyun realized this was the object and went to it. After touching the ball, the system notified him of new equipment and asked if he wanted to see its information. He was glad the system responded at the perfect time. The item was the Lost Eye of Odin, a mythical class. Jaehun was startled, but reading about it cheered him up. The best item he had sold before was a class item that went for tens of billions, but this was a mythical class, the only one in the world. Now he wouldn't be ignored by guilds, no more being cannon fodder in dungeons. He decided to try it before selling it. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.